This is brought to you by Forethought, building AI agents for every customer moment. Good afternoon, everyone. As you can see, the title of this panel is Actual Real Useful Agents. So we've had a lot of conversations around agents so far today, but talking to two people who are in the throes of making that infrastructure around agents work. So I think let's just jump right into it. I mean, in your workflows and how you're constructing, what do you view as an agent that would be ideal for your customers?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having us. My name is Eoin. I'm the founder and CEO of Tines. We're a workflow automation platform for security and IT teams. I don't know what an agent is, and I think most people don't really know what an agent is. When we, I'm probably I walked out to the wrong panel. When we ask our customers what problems they're trying to solve with agents, they're all generally automation problems. So the way we view agents is another automation tool for their toolkit, one that's particularly useful when the inputs are unclear, when they're working with structured data, et cetera.
For sure. Bella, do you know what an agent is?
Yeah, hey everyone, Bella Liu. We build an enterprise AI agent platform to automate processes. I do think that when we talk to customers, there are some two big differences how they think about agents versus the old world automation. So the first one is an agent needs to be able to understand goals and then be more autonomous in terms of decision making. I think that's one. And then the second point is I think the agent still needs to be able to be more smart in terms of navigate the environment and using tools and also take actions by itself. So at Orby, we built the large action model, LAM. So that's different than LM, languaging and language out. So the actions model is actually trained with all the actions you do on computer. So like your clicks, your type, you submit a form, they're all actions. So the model is able to understand actions and generate and execute actions. So I think that's the second probably big difference in terms of agents being able to effectively use tools and take actions by itself.
Yeah, so at the model layer for you, from the ground up, it can execute these kind of movements and actions for customers. I mean, I think also, where within that, you're building this model. And Eoin, you have had some exciting news around agents recently too, and how you're launching them within your own product workflows with cybersecurity. What opportunities are you seeing there? And talk us through a little bit what you're building right now.
Right on, yeah. So today, just a few hours ago, we officially launched our agents product, which is
agents as of today.
As of today, yeah. Nothing to do with this. Essentially what it does is it provides customers an ability to execute their workflows in a secure and private way, access all the tools that they've already configured, use the guardrails that we provide around compliance and audit logs and role-based access control, et cetera. But what we're most excited about it isn't necessarily the feature, but really the use cases that it unlocks. Because for us, our customers have spent 7 years building these very precise, repeatable, accurate, deterministic workflows. Things that do response to cyber attacks and patch management and onboarding and offboarding of contractors, those types of use cases. But there's been, for the longest time, this whole world of other use cases that haven't really been suitable for deterministic workflows because our customers didn't know upfront every edge case. They didn't fully have a very strong opinion about how the process should work. And so agents is going to allow them to be able to start tackling automation in some of those use cases when they don't know what's going to come in from the external system and they don't necessarily have a strong opinion about the order certain tools should be actioned in. So super excited to see what they build there. And the other thing we're excited about is it allows our customers to combine these various forms of automation to solve their own problems. So if they want to do a workflow that has some determinism, they can do that. If they want to combine agents with determinism and even meld that with a no-code front-end application, they can do all those things. And so I think for us, what's really exciting is this ability to be able to combine all these forms of automation to solve use cases in new ways.
Right, okay, so then taking it kind of one level up, if you thinking, hey, our workflow works pretty well here,
sure.
We can do this with our regular automation standard. This is actually a more complex thing. Maybe we need to pull in data from here, these inputs. I guess for both of you, that does bring up another point. where do the agents know where to go, and how do you keep them from going places where maybe they shouldn't go? I think with a lot of larger customers, data security, super big concern, both from outside entities coming in or keeping certain things stratified within different workflows within an organization. So what have your partners asked about that? Are they concerned about that? How have you approached that with them?
Yeah, I think the control is definitely one of the biggest concern for enterprise customers. And so at Orby, we have this concept called neurosymbolic agents. And so the idea is that you can essentially combine the neural part of the LLM agents with the symbolic part, which is the power of the code, which is the precision, the reliability of the code, and then put them together. So you can really trust the agents to run reliably. So how it works is that we can dynamically define what are the steps that are more deterministic, and then we'll just convert it into the code, and then it runs reliably. And it's also, even overall, it runs much cheaper. And then for the parts that are really requires the judgment, and then you can rely on the LM calls for them to make the judgment. I think in terms of that, so that will really ensure the control part. And actually, there's one thing that reminds me one discussion I had recently with an industry analyst. It was playing around with all the different type of LM-based agents. I think he was trying to do like a really cool demo with one computer use agents, and then this agent basically is randomly deleting the files in his computer.
Oh no!
So that is basically the part of lack of control. But I think with more of the new combination of neural agents and also symbolic agents, we can essentially just put this kind of rules and policy in place to make sure that there is a control for the agents.
Yeah.
I think for us, you're absolutely right. So our customers are Fortune 5, large pharmaceuticals, public and private SaaS companies, three-letter agencies, and this is just so important to them. And really, what's core to the question you're asking is, how can we trust these things? Like, how can I reliably trust these things? And so what we try and do is we say, look, the way you're going to build trust in these systems is through transparency. And so we tell our customers, look, you're going to be able to see exactly what this agent is doing at every point. You're going to see what data is passed through to an integration. You're going to see what information is passed back. And so you can start quite skeptical and guarded and then slowly increase the level of responsibility that's provided to the agent. And as you build trust in the system, you can ramp up the power of it, give it more granular control, allow it to do more destructive actions and so on. But I think ultimately, you're not just going to turn this on and give it the keys to the kingdom. You need to build trust in it over time. And in our world, you do that through transparency.
For sure. I was going to say, kind of jumping back to the iconic presentation from before, larger customers, especially with AI tools, have been much slower to adopt, even if they have access to the tools. Yeah. Right? It's going to take another step to have workers really and employees see that, say, oh, this is useful for me. Let's do it. Have your both of you have your customers needed maybe that extra step to get over the line to trust this, or are some people really seeing results? And yeah, if you have any examples of maybe some workflows where people have come back, go ahead.
I can get us started. So for almost all our customers who've adopted our AI products, and about 70% of our customers are using our AI products, every single one of them has gone through a fairly exhaustive AI onboarding process where their legal, their privacy, their finance, their risk teams are involved in like asking us hard questions about how we use AI, how their data is leveraged, and so on and so forth. So everybody is asking those questions. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why these large enterprises are a little bit slower to adopt the technologies. My favorite use case that we have seen so far is a pretty simple one, honestly. We have a customer who's a large public SaaS company, and they were spending mid-six figures on a product that essentially reviewed every change made to their code base for security vulnerabilities. So it checked if there was things like SQL injections, cross-site scripting, those types of vulnerabilities, but it also checked the dependencies that were part of the code being used. And they were spending, like, again, mid-six figures on that. But they replaced that entire product with a single Tines agent workflow, saving them, many, many hundreds of thousands of dollars, but also reducing the amount of false positives that this thing was producing. And so I think those use cases are the ones that I'm really excited about, where it's not necessarily some massive greenfield project, but it's some kind of annoyance within an organization that's slowing them down, where there's clear value to be gained from it,
A problem that's maybe been around for a while that everyone's had these headaches about.
Like really boring, just like a pain in the ass, nobody's excited about it, and you can just like get rid of another vendor, reduce your supply chain risk, and have a better experience.
For sure.
Yeah, I think same. My favorite use case is also all those cases when AI agents can start to take away all the soul-crushing work that we don't want to do. So one of my favorite use case is for a healthcare company. And so in the US, I don't know if you are familiar with like the process. Whenever the healthcare company, they onboard a new provider, like a physician, a nurse, they need to go through really long process of registering all the new provider across all the different states and different insurance provider, basically filling out the forms across many, many different various type of websites. And also depending on the provider type, you have to do it very much differently. A lot of human judgment is training and is required. So for this customer, they literally have a full-time group of employees doing this manually, soul-crushing work basically every day. So now the AI agents can just start to take over and automate this work for them and basically understand how they are doing that today, learning all the knowledge of all the rules, the dynamic mapping based on the provider type, and filling out all the different forms on all the different type of websites, no matter what the layout is, and then even doing it really accurately. So the results for the customer is time saving, and so the team can really focus on very much high value work instead of really the boring copy and pasting work every day in front of the computer. And then they can really have faster onboarding time from weeks to days. And also, they even see significantly error reduction because when humans are doing this type of work, it's more prone to make mistakes. So these are usually the type of my favorite use cases.
Yeah, sounds like it saves a ton of time, but then also I think naturally, okay, all of these employees get to save all this time. Maybe we only need one employee, not 5 or 6 on this team. So I do think while these have incredible productivity gains for all of your customers, how do you think about maybe the labor and employment side of this? Are there places where this is enhancing other work, taking jobs away where you need less people overall, or is it supercharging people to be more efficient? How do you see this?
I do think it's more around supercharging productivity. And for the customers that we work with, their pain is always like they need to do more, always constantly struggle with do more with less. They have so much work that they can have allocate their teams to work on if they can just automate away this part of the repetitive and kind of mundane work with agents.
So in that case, automating specific kind of rote work rather than necessarily entire roles. But we could see a world where not too far away where agents can do a lot of kind of entry-level work. So yeah, how are you approaching this too?
Well, we've been dealing with this conversation for 7 years in terms of just automation in general, and I think the same applies to agents, honestly. The analogy we use is if you're a brain surgeon and all of a sudden all your paperwork is taken care of, you're not going to be doing less brain surgeries. You're going to be doing more brain surgeries. And so I definitely think the nature of the work will change, but there's so much work to do. And I think agents is one of those real tangible ways that we could actually move the needle on GDP in terms of like what we can produce as a society. So I think the jobs are certainly going to change. Some are going to be eliminated, but human ingenuity, human creativity, human collaboration is just going to become more and more valuable.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And you mentioned brain surgery, but also, I was just thinking about, these complex roles, you do have to consider, again, back to data security.
Yeah.
That's your main focus. So do you build in safeguards with agents? Is there a human in the loop still in this process when you're launching this? How do you think about that?
We give the tools to the customers to allow them to decide whether they want a human in the loop or not. But I think what we really provide is an ability for our customers to decide how they want to do this automation based on their own risk tolerance. Because companies have such different risk tolerance. A startup with 50 people is going to be wildly different to some Fortune 5. And so we really give those tools to the customers, and we provide best practices around role-based access control, audit logging, credential management, scalability, security. But ultimately, it's kind of up to the customer to decide what they're comfortable with and what their regulation environment is like and so on.
Yeah, does that vary, I guess, between customers too?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So like a 3-letter intelligence agency is going to be wildly different to some kind of 50-person FinServe startup. And you have to account for both in our world.
Yeah, I think that I would just add to what you already mentioned. In addition to liability, et cetera, there's also a lot of product feature around control you can add around agents. So as an example, like in our product, you can just really have very granular kind of feature setting to say how I want to control the agents. And you can define what are the type of high impact steps where you want the agents actually to pause, to have the human to intervene and to approve, and for certain type of activities. So I think most customers actually, they use 100% human in the loop. And they're okay with it because the agents actually automate away 95% of the work. And even if they have to be involved 100% time, just like a manager approve 100% of activities, they still get a significant productivity gain.
For sure. I know we only have a little bit of time left, so I guess just rapid fire for both of you. What are the agents that you're building and that you're seeing in practice right now? How are they going to look in a year or 2 years even? Where are we going to be in our workforce with agents really in the field as they're rolling out now?
Yeah, I think we have so much work to do. Like, generally speaking, 88% of AI projects don't make it into production. So there's so much work that we still have to do, both in terms of like building agents that are secure and private and so on, but also just making them valuable and actually building technology that people want that's going to change the impact they're having in their business.
Yeah, I think in the next year, I do think it's going to be more like co-pilot agents with 100% human in the loop. That's a more practical way for most enterprise to use agents because they need to get to the comfort that they need to really start to unleash the agents to run in a more autonomous or semi-autonomous way in the next year or so. But I do think like in the next 2 to 3 years, the job itself, a lot of the jobs will need to be restructured, just like how things have happened, for example, like BPO. You start to see what are the part of the work that can really be more automated, more transactional, should be automated, and then you put them aside, and even maybe put it into an agent marketplace, just like Upwork. And then you can start to just pick, this is my accounting agent, HR, payroll agent, et cetera, and these are done by agent, and this is my human, and then they collaborate together. I think that's the future in the next 2 to 3 years.
Agents and humans working together. Sounds great. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.